Yes, sir. Om Ashato Ma Shadgamaya Tamasho Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityur Ma Amritangamaya Avir Avir Rudra Yakti Dakshinam Mukham Te Namang Pahi Nityam Te Namang Pahi Nityam Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light and illumination. Lead us from death to immortality, and evermore shine in our hearts with your resplendent face. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us all. So today we are at the last phase of this reading. This book is endless. It is we are ending for the reason we are to end. That's why we are ending. Otherwise, this book is to be read continuously. And what shall we find in any other book? It is the cream of all the teachings of Vedanta is being incorporated here. And but we have to make it an end to it. So today we are on the 10th chapter, and we have talked about this chapter is called the emptiness and non-emptiness. Talking about the goal where we want to reach, and when we reach that state, will you say it is a state? Is a state or non-state? It is a reality or non-reality? It is existing or it is void, shunna, or it is purna. It is full or it is incomplete. So these are the things as the subject. So this chapter has been mentioned. That's right. There emptiness and non-emptiness. The ultimate state. Can you say it is empty? Because it is the negation of everything. Neither this, neither that. So everything is gone. So when everything is gone, what remains? Is nothing. But that is nothing, or it is also a reality people experience. So what is that one? So it cannot be explained. That is the major thing. It cannot be stated. It cannot be expressed. Any language or any ideas will be too insufficient to express that idea. So it is the chapter of emptiness and non-empty. So they are saying you can say it is empty, you can say it is non-empty. So that is the chapter we are reading. So we have read up to verse number 12 the last time, and today will quickly finish this and overall recapitulate little all the chapters, and then probably for this time we'll end reading this book of Yoga Vasishtha or Nectar of Supreme Knowledge. The 13th verse says that the ocean is water only, nothing but water. The entire universe is nothing but consciousness, one without a second, which pervades in all directions, stretches throughout the creepers and plants, omnipresent like the infinite space and free distinctions. So that is the state he is describing, that it is the ocean of water as ocean of water. Anything you see in the ocean, either you see a wave or a ripple or a bubble or a foam, it is nothing but water. So similarly, the entire universe, what we are seeing, it is nothing but consciousness. Sound যাচ্ছে না? Oh, noise. If you have noise in the other voice Vedanta.org, then you can check on voice of Vedanta. So the ocean is entire ocean, whatever we see in the ocean, It is, we all know that it is nothing but water only. So similarly, when we see this universe, it is nothing but consciousness, though we see it in different names and forms and ideas, expression. But it is only what we see, it is only that Satchidananda. And more mainly, here it is emphasizing on consciousness. One without a second, and there is no second of it. One consciousness. There is no variety of consciousness. In the relative plane, we have consciousness, physical consciousness, mental consciousness, intellectual consciousness. But this is nothing. But the absolute consciousness is the reality. One without a second, and it pervades in all directions. You cannot find which direction it is not there. To the east, to the west, to the north, to the south. Every direction it is there. And which pervades in all directions, stretches throughout the creepers and the plants. And omnipresent like the infinite space. Wherever you see, whatever you see, it is nothing but consciousness. So this is the big issue, that is the Vedanta culmination of Vedantic experience, that it is only one reality and nothing else. And it pervades in all direction. It stretches throughout the creepers and plants and animals and creepers, and it is omnipresent. Omnipresent means it is there, like the infinite space is there. Whether your earth is here, globe is here or there, or sun is here or there, or the planets are moving here and there, it matters little. That only truth, that truth remains the same. And it is unchangeable, it is in all distinction. Now 14th verse continues to explain the same idea. There is no difference between Brahman and the space from the standpoint of the partless, all-pervasive and imperishable nature. However, consciousness is the additional in Brahman. Though now what he's talking about, even space is everywhere and consciousness is everywhere. Is it space and consciousness are same? No. The difference between Brahman is that Brahman is there because space is there. But when the space is, don't depend, Brahman does not depend on space. Space depends on Brahman. So this is the only distinction. Conscious, one is Jara. So there is no difference between Brahman and the space. From which perspective? From the perspective of the partless reality. There is no part, there is no segment. All pervasive and imperishable. However, consciousness is additional in Brahman, meaning Brahman is consciousness, being inanimate, space does not have that consciousness. Consciousness belongs to Brahman and not to space. Space is there because consciousness is there. So, speciality of Brahman is, though space is infinite, we say, Brahman is also infinite. True. But we have no concept of infinity. Two infinities cannot be there. There is only one infinity. And that is called Brahman. So consciousness belongs to Brahman, and because of that consciousness, everything is aware, everything is conscious. But when we can put it here also, no? We can put it straight here. এইটাকে এখানে দিয়ে দাও, আসবে না, আসবে। Okay. That means what we understand, that Brahman pervades everything. Wherever we see Brahman only in trees and plants and creepers, and in every direction, every object is permeated with that consciousness. And that consciousness is the speciality of Brahman, or Satchidananda is the speciality of Brahman. By space, air is much less area, but space is the greatest area, which is compared normally with Brahman. The extra verse also says that none other gives happiness or misery. Oh, uh, extra verse this, yeah, that's okay. That is not necessary. 15 verse says, it's a beautiful verse, that the Atman is what? That what is my real nature? It says, Nishtarango Patigambira Sandrananda Sudharnava Madhurjaiko Rasadhara Eko Avo Evasmi Sarvataha. That very reality, that reality is one without a second, which exists everywhere, is the ocean of nectar of condensed bliss, waveless, extremely profound, and the only substratum of all of the sweetness or joy or bliss. This is verse to meditate. It says that that is the only reality is Brahman, and that is only one without a second, and it exists everywhere, and it is like a nectar, condensed nectar. It is waveless. In Brahman, there is no wave, there is no change. It is extremely profound, and is the substratum of all the sweetness and joy you find in the world. You see the sweetness in the rising moon, in the setting sun, with the birds flying. But that sweetness all rests on this Brahman. So Brahman is the substratum. Brahman is the thing we see. Whether we know it or not, that is not the point. But we are seeing Brahman. As they gave the first example, looking at the ocean, you are seeing only the ocean, though it may be varied in its ripple wave form. Similarly, and the speciality between the space and this, people normally, why this question come? Because normally people say God is, Brahman is like space. When you say space, it indicates that's infinite. So what is the distinction between a space and Brahman? Well, no. Consciousness and blissfulness is the speciality of Brahman. Space is there because Brahman is there fundamentally. Space cannot be there if there is no Brahman. 16 verse says, seekers of liberation is advised to be aware of the truth of this all the time. Therefore, those who are the seekers of truth, like us, this is the advice that you always think of that undivided consciousness and don't split it. We always split. This is one thing, that is another thing, this is separate, that is separate. I am separate, you are separate. That is the knowledge. What we call knowledge in the relative world is one thing versus the other thing. But in Brahman, there is no such division. So that idea, you always day and night think of this. It says, Samastang Kulu idang Brahma Sarvam Atmedam Agatam Ahamanna idam channa anna iti akhandam nakhandaya. Don't break that akhanda. In unbreakable, absolute, infinite, don't try to make it division. Don't try to make two. That's why Vedanta is unique. Don't see anything divide, that is duality. And that is ignorance. That is called sin in Vedanta. We see in the whole world is a mixture of only duality. Seeing this, seeing that, going to this, going to that. But Vedanta says there is no two, there is no, and don't try to divide the absolute infinite into segments. That's why it's called Dvaita. That's why it's called Advaita. So, Samastam Kuridam Brahma is a beautiful idea. Samastam means everything, whatever you're visible to the five senses, visible to the eyes, which you hear through your ears, which you smell through your breathing, which you taste through your tongue, which you feel with your skin, everything, that means whole universe. It is nothing but Brahman. Sarvam Atma idam agatam. It is Sarvam Atma. It is all your own self only. It has come sprung from that Atman, but your own self. So Brahman and you are one. There is no separate I. Ahamanna, I am separate. Idanchanna, this is separate from me. Why are you breaking this infinite into two like that? That means that should be the spiritual practice every day. That don't see duality. Try to see the uniqueness, unity. Try to see that there is only one absolute truth, nothing else but that truth. So that should be sadhana. That means how to do that? As in the bhakti study, we are thinking that you see, try to see your Ishta Devata in everywhere. Here, instead of your Ishta Devata in the form of Krishna, Rama, etc., here you see that you are seeing the consciousness. Everything is pulsating with consciousness. It's very easy, but the modern science, development of modern science, we can easily understand that everything is permeated with this consciousness. Because look at anything in the material world. There is nothing but Brahman. There is nothing but that pulsation of the consciousness. That consciousness, if we go to the modern scientific world, they say that this world, this object, is having only all electron, proton, molecules, particles, and then go. It is only energy, energy, energy. This whole universe may appear so many, but it is only the thing which is perfect. That is the consciousness, and that is only one. So I think we have some sound problem maybe in the Vedanta org. So you can check on your voice of Vedanta, then you will get the same thing. Now, so our day-to-day spiritual practice should be always to do this, that not to see the duality. See only the oneness. How? Feel that same consciousness in me, same consciousness in this microparticle, a grain of sand, to the huge sun, moon, stars, galaxies. Anything we see, it is only that consciousness behind. See, try to see that. Make a practice of seeing that. Therefore, never try to make it to duality, make it separate from each other. Separation. And that's why also in devotional language it's called love unites, hatred separates. So love unites means Brahman is love, and Brahman is Satchidananda, Ananda. So where there is unity, don't split that. But we are always day and night splitting that. Unity is always disturbed by our Maya, by our ignorance. So this entire visible universe is verily Brahman. In reality, all these objects which have been outstretched around are nothing but the self capital. Therefore, do not sever the one undivided and non-dual reality, which with such thoughts as I am different, the objects are separate. 17 verse says that when Brahman is realized as the all-pervading, undivided reality, then only this vast universe is perceived as the Supreme Self. So when this experience will come? By talking it will not come. When Brahman is realized. That means when one constantly by repeating the Vedanta dictums, I am that, and analyzing Sravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, doing every day, when they realize as all pervading, undivided reality, then only this vast universe is perceived. Then only you can see what is here, that is there. So, spiritual practice is that day and night one should do this meditation and prayer, see, analysis that this universe I see, do I see as matter? Do I see as manifold? Of different nature. One is solid, another is liquid, another is gaseous. But whatever you see, it is nothing but that absolute Satchidananda. 18th verse says, the person verily attains the nature of Brahman, who firmly reflects on the idea everything is Brahman alone, who will not become immortal by drinking the nectar. So this 18 verse says, Samastameva Brahmeti Bhavite Brahmavai Puman. So Samastam Eva, whatever I see, verily, surely, certainly, Brahma iti, it is Brahman only. Iti bhavite, if one can think day and night like that. It is not only in the study period, but or lecture time, but in every breath, if one can think like that, that samastameva, wherever my eyes fall, whatever I am seeing, it is a consciousness. It is the Satchidananda. It is the expression of that infinite reality which is Brahman. So that thinking, what will happen? No, he will be Brahma Voi Puman. He will be Brahman alone. And Pite Amrite Amritamaya. When it is Pita, suppose if one drinks Amrita, আরেকটু পিছিয়ে দাও ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে So if one drinks nectar, pite amrite, amritamaya, you become you when you eat some sweets, your whole experience becomes sweetness. So pite amrite, then ko nama bhavetiti. Why it will not be immortal? If you drink day and night immortal ideas that Atman is immortal, I am that immortal self, and everywhere is that immortality. Thinking day and night like that, why not you will be immortal? So this is the 18th verse. 19th verse says, if you are really the knower of Brahman, then through your conviction of Brahman, you will attain universal identity with the self. If really anyone thinks you become a knower of Brahman, then what will happen to you? Then your experience will say, give you a conviction of Brahman. Then you will attain, that moment you will see that I am one with that. Swami Vivekananda used to feel that identity. Therefore, anyone suffering was he used to feel as if he is suffering. Anyone's joy he used to feel this joy. Ramakrishna, when he was not going to eat anything, could not. Then when he went to Sri Ramakrishna, Mother Kali, and Mother Kali said, why are you not eating to so many mouths? Why you have to eat only this mouth? That means here the identity question is giving. That's you when you realize that Brahman, you feel oneness with all. Everyone's pleasure is your pleasure, everyone's joy is your joy, everyone's suffering is your suffering, and you identify not with this only, but you identify the cosmos. Otherwise, all the varied instructions you have received from many people will be useless or futile, fruitless. If you don't understand this, that the Vedanta knowledge will bring the oneness, that Brahman and the self, two things, last of that separation will go away. Vidyate hridaya granti chiddante sarva sangsaya. So vidyate hridaya granti. All the knots, what are the knots? This idea of separation is a one knot. Ignorance, doubt, all these will go away when you feel. So it is a sign that if one has attained the knowledge of Brahman, or you become the knower of Brahman, then your conviction will come that you are one with Brahman. Your little self is no more there, it is the Brahman. And the 20th verse, that's on page 327, it says, even one has known the truth, needs always to practice this type of contemplation. Suppose you have realized God or realized the oneness, that I am Brahman, no? Then what will you do? You cannot, you will not give up that thought, okay, like that. What students do when they finish their examination and got a result, then they give away the books. I've done. Spirituality is not like that. If you attain that, then you will be living in that consciousness. You cannot forget that. If you forget that, then it is not your experience. It is not like forgetting any other material thing. It cannot be forgotten because it is the consciousness behind all perception. So here it says, even one who has known the truth needs always to practice this type of contemplation. What is contemplation? I am Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. If one utters merely the name of the kataka fruit, that utterance alone cannot bring clarity of the water by removing its dirt. There is a fruit. In early days, people used to clean the water for drinking. So the dust and dirt will be over, or some chemical reaction will be there, so that pure water will remain. So he says, as if one simply utters, oh, there is a kataka fruit, it will not make the water pure. You have to put the kataka fruit into the water. So I am Brahman, only lip service will not do. You have to contemplate and dive deep into that. Then this revelation will come up. Gita also suggests that you have to think Tatchintanam, day and night, think of that. Tat Kathanam, talk about that. Annam Tat Prabodharam. When you meet each other, talk about your beloved Lord. So here also, talk about Atma, talk about Brahman, and try to see yourself, think yourself, interact with that, and when you interact with other people there also, you get merged into this discussion. 21st says, verse on page 328, Ahameva parang brahmo vasudevakkam iti sadnischito mukto baddha evo annatha naraha. It says that imperishable and supreme Brahman, who is called Vasudeva, whom we call as Krishna, whom we call Narayana, that Vasudeva form, and that the absolute form is that I am that imperishable, supreme Brahman. And that is called Vasudeva. Only a person with this type of firm conviction, they can become liberated. That means in the liberation, you feel identified with the infinite. And if you identify with the infinite, where is your death? Where is your birth? Where is your lacking of search for truth? You have attained the highest what is to be. So it is in the absence of such a conviction is nothing but a bound soul. How much one talks about that, how much one feels about that, this is no use because it is only mere lip service. But when you experience that, you will experience that Ahamevo Param Brahma. I am that supreme Brahma. And who is called Vasudeva, the whole world. In other verses, we have heard that I am the Lord of the universe. I create the universe. I. No? But that I is that identified with the cosmic I. So this is the experience liberated soul feels like that. The Vasudeva, the Vas is for the to cover. Vasu means he who has covered every object by his own reality and effulgence. Deva is the divine effulgent. So Vasudeva means one who has pervaded everywhere, covered everything, and of the nature of effulgence. That means Satchidananda. Neti neti iti neti iti sheshitam yat parang padam nirakurtum ashakkatvat tadasmiti sukhi bhavo. So now you become happy. Know this and be happy. What to know and be happy? That supreme state which we are thinking about, that remains at the end of, you will achieve that at the end of all your spiritual journey. What is your spiritual journey? Not this, not this, not this, not this. And going negating, which can never be negated again, that remaining thing is that yourself. The knowledge comes by negation due to discernment about all the abstract and non abstract objects. Yeah, that's why it is called total renunciation. And that's why it is said, sab chhod ke sab paave. If you can give up everything, then you get everything. That means anything which you give value in your material world, just give up, give up, give up, give up, give up. Not this, not this, not this, not this. There is nothing to be cherished by any spiritual seeker, excepting rejecting everything in name and form. That's a Vedantic expression, Vedantic idea. That you are a student of Vedanta, then you will be bold enough to, or powerful enough, or courageous enough to have the guts to say, I want nothing. As we read in the Song of the Sannyasis, no? I don't care for anything. Beautiful ideas, no? There is no me, there is no mine, everything is me only. So, this is Brahman. Know this and be very happy. So, the supreme state that remains at the end of all negation, that's a Vedantic path, a Bhakti path also. As we have read today itself, that you love whatever you love, give up all love for little things, or you love through every little thing that one God. You love a flower, think that you're loving God in the flower. You love any person because God is in the person. That means you're seeing God. Similarly, here, it is all negation. Whatever name and form, this duality. It has its birth, it has its death, it has its decay, it degenerates. It's not that I want. And go on, go on, go on. That's why Nachiketa was tempted with the heaven, because heaven is longer. But Nachiketa responded, Opi alpameva. Even if you talk about heaven, heaven is also small. It has its duration. Maybe here you live 100 years, there you live 1,000 years, 10,000 years. That's what's for that. 10,000 years is also limitation. So, nothing should allure. Last temptation we hear about from Buddha and others, no? That means the duality, as if all the past impressions just appear before the sadhana. Whether you have the power and courage to reject that also. That's the expression of duality. But you are joy yourself. What will you seek joy from others? Other area, other object. What joy can you get from anything else where you are yourself the joy, the source of all joy? So to go back to that state, that not the body, not the mind, not the emotion, every beat of moment one should have to analyze, and separate out, separate out, separate out. And then what remains at the end, that is the self. 23rd on page 330. Realize the self as one non-dual Brahman, always free from all distinction. Why are you partitioning or dividing the undivided Brahman by your own thought? Are you are thinking, I am a meditator, the Supreme Brahman is my object of meditation? Vedanta does not like this meditation process. Meditation is duality, no? You first think, I am here in my heart, the Lord is seated, He is there, I am there, with the help of mind, I am trying to connect. No? That's a meditation. But Vedanta says, there is no mind, there is no God, there is no soul to meditate upon. Absolute one. And not the body, not the mind, not the thought, not this connection, he, she, me. Then you may say, hey, you are saying I am Brahman? Yes, to understand that I am Brahman, It is discarding, it is negation. I am Brahman means I am not anything else. So his negation side is so much emphasized that there should not be any touch of duality, or touch of anything in this mundane universe. 25 verse on page 332. When the practice of knowledge ripens and being free from ego, when the stream of mental modification of the form of Brahman continues to flow, that state is called the Sampragata Samadhi. He is giving an idea of what is called two types of Samadhi, Sampragata or Asampragata, Swavikalpa, Nirvikalpa. So he's talking about first stage. Dhyana deepens to Sampragata. What does it mean? He says, when the practice of knowledge, you are thinking, I am Atman, I am Brahman, I am not this, I am not this. So you are going to subtler and subtler and subtler identity of yourself. And when it ripens, being free from ego, ego is almost going, but still a trace of ego remains. I am experiencing that. Experiencing with a little ego. But that is so pure ego. In meditation, they say, Tadakara Karit. You become identified with the Ishta. But there, go further deeper, trace of ego. It is not ego, but it is a trace of ego. And that trace of ego, when you see the infinite and the trace of ego, when it may be one experience is that there is a bright, brilliant play of light going on, and the covering was thick, dark, and that is clean, 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 and it has become distinct, almost crystal clear mirror. No? So you can see the light, but cannot touch it. Ramakrishna said that you cannot touch it. So that's how we call it. When the practice of knowledge ripens and being free from all the ego, from the ego, when the stream of mental modification, mind, mental modification, I am that, from Brahman continues to flow, that state verily called Sampradaya. Vahematra Ami. That is the state, that remains a state. A little trace, I. And that is Sampradaya. But there is no world. There is no this physical world, no not intellectual world, no mental world. These are all gone. Sthula, Shukshma is gone. Standing on the brink of Karana at the end. Karana also penetrated. Just a little trace is there of the Karana Sarira. Karana Sarira is ego body. Karana body is the ego body. This ego body is now acting with the body, physical. It is a gross. When it works with the dream body, that is the subtle. And when you go to deep sleep, that is the ego body. But the ego time, deep sleep, we are sleeping ignorance. So we live in ignorance. But when you cross that, then that will be the absolute samadhi. So when the practice of knowledge ripens, being free from ego, when the stream of mental modification, I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman, continues to flow, that state is verily called Sampradaya. And 26 verse on 334, no matter whether the violent storm blows to end the cycle of creation, or all the oceans become one, surpassing their soullessness, or if even the 12 suns jointly pour out fire by their blazing rays, no harm is caused at all to the knower of Brahman who has gone beyond the mind. Now, this person who is standing at that brink, where is the sun? Where is the moon? Where is the earth? Where is the ocean? Where is holiness? Where is unholiness? Where is joy? Where is suffering? Mind has been withdrawn from there to the state. So that in that state, no matter whatever happens to this physical world, or it is in the physical world, all these calamities and disaster happen. Suddenly in the sky, 12 suns come around, and they hit each other. Everything goes into black hole. What's that to that person of realization? To the Noir of Brahman, he has gone beyond the mind. These are all in the sphere of the mind. When you go to sleep, this universe is invalid. There's no value for us. Every day we feel like that. But still, when we come back, we give so much value to this, everything. 27. On page 336, top. Through discrimination, realize that very consciousness filled state. So you understand. Analyze, analyze, analyze. And through that, you realize that that state, which is consciousness filled state, they have translated like that. It is a consciousness, as if there is nothing but consciousness. You saturate with consciousness. Nothing but consciousness. So when we realize that that state, that consciousness which is the witness of the creation and destruction of everything, which is ever existing, of the form of nectar and full of condensed bliss. Then you will feel it is condensed bliss, it is all the time there, it is like a nectar. And then what we see when we are in this plane, or a Noir of truth comes down, what he sees? It says, Mano Drishyamidam Sarvam Jatkinchit Sachara Charam. This visible universe, which is chara, moving and unmoving, in this world, whatever you see, moving or unmoving, is merely the fantasy of your mind. Your mind is creating all this fantasy. There is ultimately no such existence. When the mind attains the state of unmani bhava, that means absence of mind. When the mind attains to a state when there is no mind, then duality is not perceived at all. So duality perceived in this world so long your mind acting. You know, some people are extreme pain. People, doctors put some injection. The world of pain is gone. That means if you can just withdraw the mind from anything, then you are free. All the pains, agonies, or joys and fun is whether mind is there or not there. So if the mind is totally withdrawn, where is fun? Where is joy? Where is suffering? Where is pain? So this is the mono. That's why this whatever we see is a moving and unmoving. It's a fantasy of the mind. When the mind attains the state of absence, or unmani bhava, then duality is not perceived alone at all. The conscious self, 29, conscious self remains ever in the own soul grandeur, which is motionless, auspicious, calm, which is inmost core. This universe exists. And to which this moving and unmoving universe is but a play. So now you reach in a state your conscious self. And now we are, but we are unconscious of our divinity. So you reach that place, it is conscious self. That self is vibrant with consciousness. And there is there is a movement where the self will go if there is only one. Where we see it is auspicious or inauspicious. We say it is most auspicious because there is no touch of inauspiciousness. It is perfectly calm, and that is the reality. And what happens of this situation, like on page 339, giving the example, that like a snake, when it gives up his slough, then he does not identify with that which is abundant. You know, when the snake leaves his old skin, he comes out. It was a part of that snake. Our physical body is a part of us. Mental body is a part of us. Emotional body, intellectual body, we are part of that. But when the soul totally frees himself, comes out, it is like a slough. The snake's old body. It remains there, but the snake does not identify with it. Snake does not feel it is me. It's totally free from that. The world will remain, but he will be in his joy. Before giving up the slough, the snake identifies its own self with the skin. But after discarding it, the snake does not consider that skin as its own, even though that skin remains in its own residence. In his own hole, the old skin remains, old body will remain, but he is out of the body, or he remaining in the body, becoming bodiless. Remaining in the body, they are not in the body. Dehostopi, not dehost. Being in the body, they are not of the body. 31st verse. It is not that the page 340. It is not that the knower of truth does not perform any sinful act due to understanding that it is sinful activities should not be performed. That means they go all beyond all do's and don'ts. A holy person, a realized soul, does not give up, oh, this work, because it is sinful, it is bad, it is society will look up and down. No, he has no identification with it. That's why he gives up. And again, it's also that he performs some duties. See, with the realized souls also sit for meditation, prayer. Ramakrishna, when he is the world teacher, he is going to Ma Kali's temple, worshipping, sometimes fanning mother. He does all this dualistic activity, but he is not obligatory. It is not a must for him. He does out of his own volition. There is no bondage, nor no freedom. No one can compel them, and nothing they are compelled. As an innocent child is beyond all rules and prohibition, so is a person of wisdom. A person of wisdom feels that they are not bound by any rules and regulations. 33rd verse on page 347. As a wooden pillar that does not contain an image of a statue is only called unengraved pillar of the statue. In a similar manner, the visible universe is also unmanifested form of Brahman. In Brahman, everything is there and it manifests as one. This universe, this diversity, mental universe, intellectual universe. So this is coming from the same Brahman. 34th verse, the Brahman as the state of emptiness and fullness. That's it. Therefore, last verse of this chapter says, in calm water there is no wave. Yet it cannot be said there is no wave at all. If you look at the ocean, very calm, you can say, oh, there is no wave. But you cannot say there is no wave. Waves can come out of that. So it may be said it is a state of empty, waveless. At the same time, it can be said it has this wave, but it is all ocean. So, in the similar manner, the universe attains the state of emptiness and non-emptiness. Where? In Brahman. In Brahman only, it is manifested. At that time, we call non-empty. It is something there, terrible, this. And at the point of wisdom, we find the realized soul sees there is no duality, only one. So here we end this chapter, the 10th chapter, and the state of emptiness and non-emptiness. So what we got at the end, we must have to look back again. We started with the chapter 1, where we learned about the detachment. That was, and that is, second, we all learned if it is detached, detachment is necessary. Why shall I detach? Because this world and this duality, what we see, it is not real, it is unreal. Therefore, what to do? This is unreal. Well, self, the Atman, is not unreal. So you have to gather the knowledge of the self. 3rd chapter. 4th chapter, what to do again, this whole universe is so much tangible to me because of what? My mind. Therefore, this chapter emphasizes dissolve your mind. As medicine can make you forget about the world, you raise your consciousness inside so such a way the world will be gone from you. There will be no trace of this world duality. But if you can try to dissolve the mind, that will not only do. After trying to clean the mind on the top, go down. There are infinite number of stocks of old impressions, sangaskaras, old actions and thoughts are hiding there. Work on that, clean them. Therefore, how do you do that? Clean them. How? Contemplate on yourself, your Atman, ever pure. Seventh says, then how to understand this is my Atman? Know the glory of the Atman, seventh chapter. How to, if you see your Atman is clean, you can purify that. Then you will find what a glorious reality is lurking behind us. Therefore, then you will be starting to adore the self. That means think of the self, analyze the self, stand on the self, and with that tool only, this mind will be clean, subconscious mind will be clean, and your knowledge will be manifesting inside you. And that will lead ultimately to the state of this state where this whole world will vanish. In that sense, you can say it's empty. And again, when you come down, you see, no, 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 everything is Brahman. I see nothing but Brahman. So, minute object to the biggest, grandest object, there will be no difference. It is only one. And that's why the ultimate state, people, philosophers have so much discussion. Is it the state of emptiness or non emptiness? It cannot be said. It is emptiness and non a state which is beyond the two words also. But from the perspective of Vedanta, it is the empty. Empty of what? Not this pew, not this body, not these eyes, not this ear, but not. We just read today. You go on negating. A point will come, you cannot negate that any further. Because that is the last point of consciousness. When you reach there, then this whole world is negated. It's called empty. And is non-empty because that is not the void, but it is full of Brahman. And that self and Brahman are the same. You will not feel that you are any more separate from that infinite Brahman. You are that. And that, the whole universe is you and nothing else. So that experience will come. So the whole 10 chapters lead us from step by step to this conclusion, to this experience. So Yoga Vasishtha suggests us that we should read this, meditate upon this, and day and night can keep our awareness as much as we can. Then we can go beyond our mind, go beyond our duality, go beyond our suffering and pleasure and pain. So that will be the goal of life. So we end here and we'll go for the question answer. So let me end this reading here. Then next month probably we'll go for next week we'll go for new book Shanti Gita. Shanti Gita, and we'll be introducing the subject for the first day. Let us see 1 or 2 days, and then we enter into the book. We will supply you the original text, and you have to be attentive to when we go through the verses and discuss. Then you can make your own notes. Okay. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Now we go for some few questions. This question same. is a sampragya to samadhi only during meditation, not during conduct in the world. Yeah, when it is called the sampragya to samadhi, is only in the state of meditation. That is the question. Is it sampragya to samadhi will come only in the at the time of what you call meditation time, or when you are open eyes moving here and there? I think sampragya to samadhi should be that is such a state you cannot move, walk so much. It comes only last threshold where ego is dying. Last trace. Little strike and it goes. Here is a thick ego with us. It has thinned, 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 thinned. And when it has come to that place where there is no further I, in that state you cannot function, you cannot talk. Even if you are going to meditation, you cannot do that. Only avatars, Ramakrishna can do, come down from that state. And then he say, I come down 10 feet down. What is that 10 feet, 10 cubit? That experience, he says, I come down 10 cubit. Then he says, I will drink water. No. So, interact much, you have to come down much in the level of the world, duality. So Sampragato, I cannot say all these big things, but to me it appears that uh, yes, this experience, when one gets to that experience, it is not, he can keep or she can keep awareness of the outside world while walking, talking, this, that. And if you get to a spiritual mood, your mind will go away. You will not be interested in doing anything. We have not tasted that joy of God. If anyone gets a little test, deep test, like deep meditation, they will not be able to get interested in anything. So, practice Ramakrishna, as they say, incarnation has a special power. God Himself. So, God, when God Himself comes, He has the power to do. He can, Ramakrishna gave the example that outside guest, they can go up to certain length of the house, of the home. They cannot go to the inner court, inner chambers. So when you enter into the inner chambers, it's very difficult for ordinary people to work at the time of Sampragata Samadhi. Vikalpo there is gone totally. Even there we are hearing that there is remains a trace. But that trace is of the ego is so high level that there is no easy way to come down. And when one comes down of that experience, we call it a Jivan Mukta. And when the Jivan Mukta comes down, then they are not in Sampragata state. But they are walking, but they see the duality. There is a experience of consciousness everywhere, plus the person, name, form, they can interact with this duality. Anyhow. Okay. Then another question is that how much brahmacharya is needed to realize Atman? Even Indra followed 101 years for knowledge in the Indra and Virochana story. Point is that we need not have to calculate such things, how many days you will have to be austere, you have to be fasting, you have to meditate, you have to control the senses. Those are not the factors. Factor is that intensity of practice. Uh, as one's mind, as if this question thinks that is brahmacharya is to be needed to realize Atman. Brahmacharya is needed is a negative, not a negative thing. Brahmacharya means as Brahmani acharati iti. Your mind will be roaming in the consciousness of Brahman. And as you get a taste of Brahman, that is spontaneous brahmacharya. You need not have to come down to the level of the senses to say, oh, I have to control it. So as we stand, that therefore we think that it's controlling is so difficult. But there is no control, there is no question of control. It becomes spontaneous. Joy, if your mind is lit, suppose mind is absorbed in that joy, where is body? If there is no body, where is the question of control comes? Reaction, control, these are in a lower level. So what we have to do? We have to fall in love with the Atman, or in Vedantic text, or fall in love with our real nature. If we fall in love with real nature, the body identity will go away. So no question of brahmacharya is a serious affair. It is a serious affair for the beginners, because we have not got the taste of God. Therefore, how to give up this joy which the sensate world can give me? So that is a struggle there. But once the mind gets a taste of the higher joy, there is no one will be making any austerity, as in my common example, that if you get a job of 100,000, uh, to give up your job of 50,000 is, oh my God, how can I give up? How long I'll have to wait for giving up? No, giving up, no. It will fall down from us. So this is the point. That and spirituality is that. It is not forceful or suppression, but it is the elevation. It will elevate, the joy will elevate more and more and more and more. Automatically forget. It will not come into the mind even. So that should be the state. So practice should be done till we reach that point. So we should have to practice. Thank you. Can you please suggest any particular verse that we can use for meditation and nididhyasana? Yes. In this book you can get many verses. We have, while studying, we have mentioned that. You can read the book and its translation while you are going through the book and see which appeals to your heart. This is a good idea. Just we read today, saying that infinite ocean, every bubble, ripple is nothing but ocean. Sourless ocean, endless, unfathomable. Everywhere is that consciousness. These are meditation. In this book, Nectar of Supreme Knowledge, you can get so many. In every text you can get. Aparakshanubhuti, Shankara, you can get there. You go to Quest Jewel of Discrimination, Viveka Chudamani, you can find selected verses. You have to, if you are interested, then you have to write, then you can suggest something. But we have read this Nectar of Supreme Knowledge. You can just turn the pages and see what appeals to your heart and what resonates in your heart. Take those, pick up those verses, and one day meditate one verse, another day another. But you will understand, whatever you meditate, you will ultimately reach into Satchidananda. Because there is only one. You may think that you are meditating today on the consciousness. Tomorrow you're thinking of the ocean of joy. Ultimately, you go to the same point, looking at the joy of the universe. Behind every joy is that cosmic joy. And that joy in me, that joy in you, that joy in the beautiful flower, a flying bird, that joy in the entire universe, the same joy. So, following the instruction of the verses of the Yoga Vasishtha or Viveka Chudamani or Bhagavad Gita, also there are wonderful verses. So you can select what appeals to your mind, that will be best for you. And meditation, if we get absorbed into that more and more and more, then automatically a deeper meditation will happen. And the deeper meditation will give us deeper absorption. And deeper absorption will give deeper joy. Okay? So thank you all. No more questions? Okay.
Tomorrow is the corporate class.
Tomorrow will be our gospel class, 7:30 in the evening. Right? Sattvayananda Swami will be giving the gospel class tomorrow at 7:30. So, thanks to all of you that we could finish this book, Nectar of Supreme Knowledge. How many years we started, I forgot when we started, which year, maybe 2 years? 19. 19, 20 and 21. Oh, 19 we started, 2019. So it took 2 years to study. It is lifelong study. You can make it your friend, turn page and mark what appeals to you. This is the way of reading the book, this type of book. It is not that I finished it. I did once in Santa Barbara. I did once here. During our working on this book, we did at least once, twice, thrice. But still, I don't get it, even all the ideas. No? So, but it is all ideas, but conclusion is only one. That's why some people may get tired. What you are reading, all the verses are talking about the same thing. Because there is only one thing. We are not catching that point. What can be done? You read tons of books. What will you get? Only different ways people are talking about different ways. From psychology, from science, from neuroscience, this, that. Modern people will be talking about that. But all are ending into the one conclusion, that there is absolute one, and that is the source of all joy, blessings. And that is the thing which is behind you and me and everyone. And this duality is an it does not stay. It is we are hanging on to it too much. And as a result we are suffering so much. But still we don't understand. Learn. And that this is a learning process. As much as we learn, that much will detachment will come. Detachment. And the world we get too much associated with it. And we feel pain and pleasure because of that. Detach, detach, detach. Everything is changing. But there is one unchanging, and that is you, and that is the whole universe, permeated with like space. As how many times in this book we have read that one idea. So that is the. So thank you all for helping me to read it once more again. But if we get a chance, we'll start again sometime future. Yeah. So the beauty of these scriptures is that this is like a mother. Scriptures are like our mother. Mother wants our best. So whether I like it or not like, a mother will be always pouring the same concept in the mind. Baba, this is yourself. This is yourself. We are not this. Again, I don't understand. I don't like it. Our mind says, I don't like it. I understand. Why are you talking 20 times the same thing? No? But scripture says, Baba, yes, that is the truth. Come, my child. This is for your good. This is for your good. So, till we can absorb inside, till we can really find the joy, till now we read one word and face will flush with joy. One verse, one line you take, one word you take, your face will be beaming with joy, heart will be filled with joy. You know you are progressing there. Spiritual progression is there. And it is within us. That capacity is within us. So thanks to this Swami who have translated into Bengali, Swami Dhireshananda Maharaj, and the composer who has helped us from 30,000 verses to 6,000 to this verse 300, 223 verses. So, but still it is too much for us. If we have taken a big volume, the whole life would have gone and we could not finish the book. So finishing book is not important. Getting absorbed is the question. To assimilate the idea is the question. And the scriptures are always there to help us till we reach liberation and realization. Thank you all. Jai Ma. So hope to see you next class with the Shanti Gita. Shanti Gita. Oh. So this is the end of our এইদিকে দিতে পারলে ভালো হবে, তাহলে আমি কি তোমার কন্ট্রোল।
Oh, that's a long 2 years. 2019. Almost finished.